Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we're learning Nedarim, page 14, which discusses that there are precise ways that a person needs to make a vow, and if that person does not do so, it does not have any validity. And the Talmud gives a case where a person wishes to make a vow forbidding himself to have any benefit from his wife. Now, certainly that is not the most advisable way of dealing with your frustration or whatever turmoil you may be having in your home. But regardless, we still have to address whether or not his words mean anything. So the Talmud gives an example where he said it in an ineffective manner, and therefore his words really mean nothing, and therefore everyone is permitted to one another, not a problem. However, it does tell us that we don't just say that what he said was nothing, but rather we will require him to go to a sage. A sage had the ability of analyzing a vow and understanding that perhaps this vow should never have been made, and he helps that person realize that he should never have made this vow, and if I knew how serious it was, I never would have done so, and then the sage can actually have it removed as though he never said it. So this is something in which only a sage has the ability to do, and therefore this person, sometimes in order to remove a vow, you have to go to a sage. Now the question that Talmud wonders is, it doesn't make sense. If what this person said means nothing, and therefore it really has no validity, so then why does he have to go to a sage? So on this, the Talmud tells us that even though it doesn't mean anything, but we still rabbinically want him to go to a sage, because we don't want him to be accustomed to every time he's angry that he's just going to immediately react in this negative fashion against his wife. And therefore we're going to make his life a little bit more challenging and difficult and require him to have to go to a sage to have this valid vow removed. And therefore that will hopefully deter him from speaking this way in the future. Now, first of all, just that alone teaches us how sensitive the sages are, that they do not want inner conflict in a family. They do not want a husband and wife to be making these vows against one another. So even in a situation where what they said was really had no legal basis, they still want to make it seem like it means something and require them to jump through hoops in order to have it removed. So this way, hopefully, they'll be more careful with the way that they speak. But it's interesting, the Talmud here tells us that there's another opinion that says it's not necessary. You don't have to go to a sage. And on this, the Talmud gives an answer. It depends. Are you someone who is literally a Talmud Chacham, a scholar, a righteous, holy, God-fearing person? Or are you someone that is in a different category? So if you're someone who is this Talmud Chacham, you're someone, therefore, who's more likely to be quite sensitive of how you typically speak. And therefore, even though you did say this one time, maybe you got, your language got the best of you, but it's not something that we're so concerned of, because you're going to be more likely to be more careful because of the nature of who you are as a person. Because you're a disciplined person, that you study and you learn and you devote yourself to spirituality and holiness, there's a greater likelihood that even though you spoke in this way, we're not going to assume that it's going to continue. So therefore, we're not going to require you to have to go to a stage to have it removed. However, someone who is not on this level, we still will have them go speak to a stage to have it removed. So again, another message that we see from here is the greatness of someone who is disciplined. Because a person who makes this statement to his wife is probably someone who is not someone who's thinking so clearly and kind of shoots from the hip, as they say. That a person is not so careful of how they speak. However, if a person is more disciplined, that doesn't just mean that they're more disciplined in waking up in the morning, but they're disciplined in everything, including what they say. And therefore, we certainly have to often be careful everything that comes out of our mouths, but when we discipline ourselves in one area, more than likely you'll be disciplined in other areas as well.